You got it.
Hey Najee, thank you so much for coming to join me for a Coaches in Real Life chat, because we did have a chat before, and to be honest, I was so intrigued by your work and the views and opinions that you're sharing on Instagram right now that I just wanted to dive deeper into everything that you're sharing and learning and letting us know about in terms of emotional awareness and emotional regulation. So welcome.
Thank you for having me, and the conversation we had was absolutely amazing. So it's an honor for me to be on this platform with you, so thank you again for having me.
Yeah, we were saying at the time, like, it's a pity that wasn't recorded, but I think we're going to probably dive even deeper today.
Sure.
So let's just start by the basics of, like, you call yourself an emotional awareness specialist, and I know you talk a lot about emotional regulation. So, like, what is emotional awareness? Is it the same as emotional regulation? And, like, what are you meaning when you talk about those things?
So the emotional awareness aspect is it comes from one understanding that you're not the emotion. So the awareness aspect, I should say, the awareness is more so of witnessing the emotion. All it is energy and motion. But a lot of times we pay more attention to the label of the emotion. So it's sadness or the happiness or those type of labels. But in reality, you only feel two types of emotion or three types of emotion, which is safe, unsafe, or neutral. So the emotional awareness aspect is understanding, take the story away from it, the label that you're calling it, and understand, okay, I feel unsafe. Where do you feel that in your body? You might feel your throat closing up. You might feel your stomach tingling. That's the sensation that you feel. The emotional regulation aspect is learning to listen to what your body's trying to communicate to you through that sensation. So that's the awareness is recognizing the sensation that you feel, and then the regulation aspect is listening to what that your body's trying to communicate to you. That makes sense.
Okay, got you. Yeah. And is there an easy way to describe, like, how does someone go about regulating their emotions? Obviously, there's that first step of awareness of what's happening in your body, other than just the emotion that you feel you're experiencing. But, like, is that individual? Is there a guidance that everyone could
Yeah,
start
it's
doing?
everybody. It's the same. It's the same with everybody, because all the or it stems from trauma, and all trauma is just unexpressed and unexperienced emotions being trapped inside of your body. So it's a blockage, and and all emotions really is just energy and motion inside of your body. So when you understand, okay, that sensation that I'm feeling, that tingling sensation is the energy's trapped from a traumatic experience there. So the best way to kind of go about doing it is, one, recognizing that, okay, this is not sadness, this is not anger, this is an unsafe emotion or unsafe sensation that I'm feeling. And then once you acknowledge that, you create more of a connection to it. So now I'm not running away from it, now I'm not resisting it, now I'm open to experiencing it. And the key to really doing that is, one, paying attention to what you actually feel versus the story that your mind is telling you about how you feel. So the story could be, this is bad, you don't want to feel this, your mind can't feel, only your body can. And a lot of times people be like, okay, emotional regulation, go do some yoga, go do some meditation, go do some breath work, go do all these things. But in reality, you're only doing those things as a way to not feel what your body's trying to communicate to you. So the emotional regulation that I talk about, and it's the proper way for me, is, one, you pay attention to the sensation that you feel. And when it comes up, you listen to it. And the ways you can go about listening to it is allowing it to be safe in your body. A lot of times we don't want it to be there, so we create a disconnect, we make it unsafe. So you go about doing it when you feel the tightness in your throat, you allow yourself to be with that tightness in your throat, and you ask it, what are you trying to communicate to me? And when you ask it and you listen, a lot of times the best way to kind of go about doing it is easier said with somebody guiding you versus just trying to do it on your own, because your mind will still try to tell you, oh, you feel this or you feel that. It's one of those things where when you're doing it with somebody who knows, they're like, okay, that's not what you're, especially with me, I'll be like, yeah, that's not that emotion talking like that. That's not that sensation talking like that. That's still your mind there, because your mind's not going to be like, I don't want to feel this. I don't want to do this. It's not going to do that. So the best way to kind of go about doing it is, one, acknowledging what you're feeling in your body, and then asking it, what does it want you to know about it, or what is it trying to communicate, or allowing it to be there. It just wants to feel seen and heard, just like everybody else.
Yeah, that was one of my questions actually, like how much of this work can you do by yourself? And because obviously there is a massive element of this that is like subconscious stuff. So how much can we actually get to by thinking our way into it? Or
It's very, very, I'm not even gonna lie, it's very difficult in a sense, because you kind of have to separate your mind from the conscious mind from the unconscious mind, in a sense, so where you can actually be present to the sensation that you're feeling. So it's difficult, especially, excuse me, when you're not used to doing it. It definitely can be very difficult, because your mind is trying to distract you. That's the whole purpose of you going through a traumatic experience. What people don't realize is, when we go through a traumatic experience, our minds take us consciously out of that experience to protect us, because unsafe to the mind means you're about to die, but your mind can't feel. So what your mind associates to unsafe is a story. So what happens is, it pairs a story to the bodily sensation that you feel, and then we're running away from the story, but we think we're running away from the sensation.
right, I've got you. Yeah, I heard you talk a lot before about like what most of us are really just doing in life is just avoiding feeling any of the emotions that we class as negative. So, and I see that so much and can recognize it in myself, that we think certain emotions are bad, and essentially without even thinking about it, like we are all just numbing in lots of different ways, and drinking or overeating, or keeping ourselves busy, getting addicted to social media and all of these sort of things to avoid actually feeling what we're feeling.
Mm-hmm. And that's the key. I tell people, the feeling you're most afraid to feel is the feeling that you constantly feel. That's why you're still afraid of it. And people they don't realize, like, the thing that's governing your relationship to that feeling is your fear of that feeling. So you hold on to that feeling more and more to be able to feel this. That's why you're scared of it, because you still feel it. It's not going to go anywhere. Literally your body trying to communicate to you. But as long as you're running away from it, you're going to feel it even more, because you're holding on to it that much more.
Yeah, got you. Do you think there's like, I feel like with my own personal journey with this, so I've only really, in the last probably maybe around 2 years ago, I started really to dive deep into my emotions, to try and work out more what I'm feeling, to communicate how I'm feeling. And I suppose since then, and especially in this last few months, and I think that's probably attributed a little bit to spending time back at home after traveling a while. I think some things have, like, I don't know, feel like it's come back up within me from being back in a like familiar environment, is like, how much can you, I'm kind of like trying to piece together a puzzle, that like, okay, I recently, like with exploring my own emotions, I feel like I went on quite a journey with like what we would call as sadness, and crying and releasing tears that way. I now kind of welcome that when I like feel like I feel like I'm releasing something or doing something good. I don't know what I'm doing, but I feel like it's a positive thing. I feel like I'm also now on a journey with potentially anger, and that's something that I've never really like noticed in myself. I didn't know I was an angry person. I always thought I was a really chill person who just didn't really have negative emotions, and that's probably, I think, from studying your work and others, that there was this environment perhaps when I was younger where it wasn't safe, or it just wasn't talked about, like emotions, or shared, or the negative ones anyway. So I just grew up thinking I was a positive person, you know. So like, do you think we can get there like it's maybe the same question as what I just asked, like trying to piece this puzzle together. Like, okay, I think maybe there's some suppressed anger in there. Like, what do I do now?
So
Like,
the key in understanding anger is just the secondary emotion to hurt. You only get angry as a way to protect you from feeling the hurt. It's a reaction. So the hurt that you feel, the anger that you associate to the emotion that you feel is really just hurt. But the ways in which you learn to protect yourself from that is by reacting. So anger is a more of a reaction to that hurt or from that hurt, so you won't be present to it. So the thing about the mind that people don't realize is your mind just distracts you from how you feel. But the sensation that you feel comes first, and that's where the negative thoughts come from. It's not negative thoughts per se, it's your mind trying to help you distract from the sensation, because that sensation your mind believes is unsafe, which means you're about to die. So it had to make you angry in that environment that you grew up in, because that was the way to protect you from feeling that sadness or that hurt. When you can't fight, you can't freeze, you can't run, you can't faint, you disassociate. And the thing that you disassociate from is your body. Trauma causes a disconnect. Like it's not what happens to you, it's what happens inside of you as a result of what happens to you. So trauma causes your mind to consciously judge your body, to make your body wrong. So kids, especially growing up, kids only live in two stories, especially when it comes to our parents. Self-doubt and self-blame. So we see mommy sad, we try to go give mommy a toy. Mommy don't like the toy, mommy's still sad. The kid believes it's my fault mommy's still sad, so the kid blames itself. So that's the issue right there. So the kid will now take mommy's actions and make it about the kid. Or the kid will be happy and they'll come home and mommy had a bad day at work. Mommy yells at the kid. Now, unconsciously, the kid is now believes, okay, when I'm happy, that causes mommy to be angry. Don't be happy no more. So now I'm suppressing the happiness inside of me because I'm trying to survive in the environment in which is more conducive for the family, everybody else. So I need to learn to push this part. And that's where the anger comes from, because you're suppressing, you're pushing down a part of you, the part of you that was excited, the part of you that was happy, the part of you that felt loved, the part of you that felt seen. You did that to be seen by somebody externally.
right. Yeah. This is so fascinating, and there's so many different tangents I feel like I want to go off on and explore further. But I suppose I think, like, for, again, just from a personal point of view, I suppose I was just thinking in my mind that, I've never really shown anger, so maybe there's something there. But I suppose the awareness thing and the journey is just to keep checking in with your body and the sensations, and sort of taking that route rather than a logical route to it, and trying to actually like put a puzzle together.
Your mind is supposed to do that. That's why I tell people, like, it's not a negative thing. You don't want to stop your mind from it's doing its job. It's trying to protect you. But the thing it's trying to protect you from is the story, but not the actually bodily sensation. Because what people don't realize is consciously, when you get angry, it's not you that gets angry. It's the part of you that's stuck in an experience in which it felt unsafe. So it had to react from anger by using anger as a way to protect itself. So a lot of times people identify with who they are based on, oh, I get angry. No, that's not you that's getting angry, because if it was you that got angry, you wouldn't recognize you were angry. You'll just be in it. So to be able to have the awareness that, okay, I'm sad right now, or I'm angry right now, that's not you. You're just the awareness to it. So when you understand you're the awareness to it, there's a part of you that's still stuck in that experience. And that's where trauma is. Trauma keeps you stuck. Trauma is just unexpressed and unexperienced emotions being trapped inside of your body. So that's where you feel the tightness in your throat, or you feel your stomach sinking, or you feel your chest collapsing. That's what you feel. But your mind will have you thinking, oh, this external environment is unsafe, so I need to react. I need to protect myself. I need to blame. I need to get out of this experience that I'm feeling in my body, because this sensation is wrong. This sensation is bad. So now you thinking you're angry at the world, but you're really angry at the part of you that's trying to be seen by you, because you don't want that part. Your mind doesn't want you to access that part, because it still believes you're the same age in which you first experienced that traumatic event. And that's the part of you that's stuck.
And it's still just boiling down to this safe or unsafe feeling. That's all it comes down to at the end of the day. And so I'd love to just touch on a few things that I've seen you post on your Instagram, and I think, wow, that's pretty different to what I am hearing out there. And actually it makes a lot of sense. Like, the more I'm learning from like an emotional point of view. You talked about, for example, like that you don't believe in things like setting boundaries. And at first I'm like, wow, yeah, that was actually quite a big part of my journey. Like, I was like, learned a lot about self-care and self-love, and setting boundaries was like super helpful for me to it felt like really helpful for me to go in that space of like learning, I suppose, creating more space and time for myself. And I can see it like different ways that would benefit me. But I feel like from your side of things, it's also like, which again I've sort of later reflected on, you're just sort of like putting in place things so that you're not feeling your emotions, which I also thought about recently. I think a lot about the fact that it's very easy, because I've traveled and now I've come home and I've stayed a longer period at home. I'm like, yeah, it's very easy to be happier, higher vibration, better mood, things feel like life's going great when you live in Bali, as opposed to when you come home and you're surrounded by more triggers and the real world and things that are like literally just triggering you all the time. Like, so
absolutely.
Do you want to talk on that a bit?
Absolutely. So the thing about boundaries, what people don't understand is you only set boundaries when you feel unsafe. But the feeling that you're associating to unsafe is how you feel in your body. So what you're really doing is setting boundaries on that part of you that you're trying to suppress, that you don't want to feel, the unsafe feeling, but you're projecting it and making it about the external world. So now you're like, I need to set boundaries on that person because they caused me to feel this way. When in reality, nobody can make you feel your own emotions. You already feel those emotions. That's why you're trying to not feel them anymore, because you're still scared of them, which is okay. But I use the example, like if my grandma was to ask you, do you want a glass of water? And you tell her no. And I said, do you feel like you're setting a boundary on her? You're not going to say no. You're not going to say, yeah, I just set a boundary on your grandma. She didn't listen to me. But what happens is, if my grandma continued to ask you and now you're feeling unheard or you feel unseen, now I need to set boundaries on her because she's not listening to me. She didn't cause you to feel unheard or unseen. The way you interpret her not listening to you or not giving you the response that you wanted, now you're saying she's not listening to you. But in reality, you're not listening to that sensation that you feel inside of your own body. And now you're projecting it and making it about her. And that's why all these boundaries and positive energies and all this stuff is cool, but it's reinforcing the narrative that how you feel inside of your body is negative and you don't want to feel that. That's why you need to make it about the external world. That's why everybody's like, set boundaries and protect your peace. If you need to protect peace, you're not actually at peace within yourself. That's why you feel the need to protect it. When you're at peace within yourself, it won't matter what's going on around you, because as long as you know you're okay with how you feel, then what they got going on has nothing to do with you. But the only way you can feel some type of way about something that has nothing to do with you is to make it about you. And that's what people are doing. Like, oh, she didn't listen to me, or he triggered me. People only trigger what's already inside of you. If it wasn't in you, I can't trigger you.
So it's just all like, everything is just more information and clues to what's going off inside, right?
Absolutely. The trigger is the key. When you get triggered by something, that's what's like, whoa. One of my favorite things to talk about, or my favorite line from the Batman movie, is like, why so serious? And people don't realize, why are you reacting as if your life is in jeopardy? This is my question I like to ask my clients. Are you about to die? If your answer is no, then okay. Are you about to experience a lot of pain? If your answer is no, then why are you reacting that way? It's not the external world. You're not actually unsafe, but you're reacting as if you are unsafe. Why? That's the clue to kind of go deeper. Why am I acting this way? That's because a part of you is still stuck in an experience in which it felt unsafe and it's trying to get your attention, but you're trying to run from that because your mind is telling you the sensation that you feel inside of your body means you're unsafe and we need to protect you. So we need to blame. We need to fight or flight. We need to go crazy right now because if you access that feeling, you about to die, and I don't want you to access that feeling. And that's the thing. It's a trauma response. Setting boundaries is a trauma response. That's why a lot of therapists just teach you how to cope with how you feel, but not actually how to listen, how to respond to how you feel, because the responding to how you feel creates more of a safety to the sensation that you feel inside of your body. I can't trigger you or I can't make you feel how you feel. The way you already feel is already there. That's why you feel it. I can't feel it. It's your feelings, not mine. But as long as you're making other people responsible for how you feel, you're being a victim to how you feel. You're victimizing yourself based on not wanting to feel this way. Now, I don't want to be around them because they're negative, but in reality, they're reflecting how you feel about a part of yourself that you never learned to regulate.
That's so interesting because a lot of my, because I've traveled and come home a few times in the last 5 years, I feel like the very first thing that always hits me is like, oh, everyone's so negative.
Yeah, that's your mind. Your mind will always have it. It has to do that. That's why it keeps you alive. That's how it kept you alive all the way up to this point, because it still thinks you're the same age. So it's still like, oh, it's them. And I use the example. Every time you point one finger at another person, 3 fingers pointing back at you. But we don't pay attention to the 3 fingers pointing back at us. We only pay attention to the one that we're blaming. But your mind has to do that. It has to keep you distracted, make you looking outside. It's in survival mode. But the key is understanding when you're in survival mode, it's not the external environment, unless you're actually about to die or you're about to experience a lot of pain. It's the internal that you're feeling that you're associating to the negativity. You feel negative about the sensation that you're trying to associate to them. It's not them.
Yeah,
they're just saying a bunch of words.
So do you believe we get to a place of healed? Like if we dig into this enough and, you know, spend enough time in your sessions or like spend enough time working on this stuff actively, or is this about continually being on the journey and just being aware and recognizing everything that comes up, and we get to a point of maybe just having learned how to deal with our range of emotions, and that is what we take through life, and we just continually are being aware, processing, move on.
I think for me, I think everybody's healed. I feel like there's no such thing as not being healed. A lot of times we're conditioned to believe, like people are like, you're not perfect. You are perfect. Who told you you're not perfect? It doesn't even make sense. In order to not be perfect, you have to compare yourself to something that's not you. You're the only person in the world that's you. But some way, somehow we believe we're not perfect. Some way, somehow we believe we're broken. We're not healed. You are healed. It's just your mind is telling you you're not, based on a story that is holding on to, based on not knowing how to properly regulate your emotions. So the part of you that's still stuck in that story isn't who you are. You're not the same person that you was when you were 5, not the same person that you were when you're 10. But a lot of times people are like, yeah, we're not perfect. We're all imperfect. No, you're perfect. You're healed. Outside of you telling yourself you're broken, where are you actually broken at? It only exists in a story. Take that story of who you believe you are, and you'll see that there's no you to be, because you are already you. But a lot of times we try to be something we're not, to fit in, to try to please. Self-neglect. I tell people, self-neglect was the first language I learned. Childhood trauma. Learning my little brother was 3 years younger than me. My parents was a certain way until my brother was born. My mom was super depressed when my brother was born. And I took that as it was my fault. So I would act out because I didn't know how to express myself, articulate myself. And my mom and my dad took me acting out as if I was being hard-headed. But I wasn't being hard-headed. I just wanted to get accepted, to get love, like you were showing me prior to my brother being here. That's why I learned to, okay, I'm gonna stop doing this. I need to stop doing that. So I'm suppressing more and suppressing more and suppressing more. That's the part that they're saying you need to heal. But the aspect of healing, it only means wholeness. It means to come together with. So when you understand healing means come together, it's going back and connecting to the parts of you that just stuck in that experience in which you felt unsafe. And the ways you go about doing it is regulating your emotions, properly doing it. But it's also recognizing the part of you that feels unsafe isn't actually you. So to say you're not healed is a lie, because you're just awareness to the sensation. You are healed. Your body's just trying to communicate to you that there's parts of you that's still stuck in certain experiences, which is okay. And that's why you get triggered. The trigger's there to bring awareness to what's going on inside of you. So many people are disconnected from their bodies because they don't understand trauma causes a disconnect. Now, trauma causes your mind to not feel safe in your body anymore. So now your mind is judging your body for feeling how it feels without realizing your body did the best that it could to help you get it, to help you regulate that experience. But the mind came in and tried to rescue you because the mind didn't feel like you could consciously handle it. Now you're older and you have the conscious awareness to recognize, okay, I feel a tightness in my chest. As a kid, you never recognized the tightness in your chest because your mind was always making it about the external. Mommy yelled at me. Mommy caused me to feel this way. I don't want to feel this way no more. But trauma caused your mind to now make it about your body. It's almost like when you stub your toe, you walk and you kick your toe on the bed and you want to yell at somebody, but in reality you can't because it's you that did it. That's what trauma does. You stub your toe or mommy yells at you and your mind blames your body for it. Your unconscious mind blames your body for it. So now it's like, yeah, I don't ever want to feel that. So I'm going to put that part and I'm going to lock it away in the closet. And I don't ever want to deal with that. And that's when you feel that triggers, that's all you feel is your body trying to communicate. Hey, I'm still here. I'm still stuck in this closet. Can somebody come rescue me? I just want to feel heard and seen and loved like you treat happiness and how you treat excitement and how you treat joy and all these other range of emotions, which is just say, can I feel those same emotions too? I'm still here, but your mind can't regulate your body. So that's why you have to learn how to disconnect by taking your unconscious mind out of the way to actually properly regulate your emotions, if that makes sense.
Right. So that's more in the process of what you would do, like in a one-to-one session to try and take the mind out the way.
Yeah. You literally just ask the mind, because the mind is still the same age in which you first experienced that trauma. So when you get triggered, your mind thinks you're that 5-year-old. That's why it's trying to get you to react. Most adults are emotionally unregulated children. That's why they act out. That's why they react from how they feel. That's why it's like, wait, why are you acting like that? They don't realize they're still triggered. They're still living in the story of I'm unsafe when I feel this way. So I need to throw a tantrum. I'm kicking, I'm spazzing out. I need to go drink. I need to go smoke. I need to go work. I need to feel better about how I feel. You only want to feel better when you associate the feeling to how you feel before you felt quote unquote better to feeling wrong, to feeling bad. So I only want to feel right as a way to discard this wrong feeling that I'm already feeling, which is a disconnect right there. So now you're trying to avoid from feeling the wrong feeling by making it about the external stuff. Like I tell people, you only want to make another person wrong so you can feel right about yourself. But as long as you want to feel right about yourself, you're already implying how you feel is wrong. So now you're stuck.
I've heard you say that about as adults, we're just still, how do you put it? We're still
emotionally unregulated children.
Emotionally unregulated children, even as adults. And also you said recently about how we choose to parent our children, or we don't know, we've chosen to do it this way, but we are, and tell me if this isn't exactly as you intended it, but it's like we parent our children in the way that actually we are craving to receive love and attention, but we are parenting them in that way and we're still not giving it to ourselves.
Absolutely. Self-neglect. That's, I tell women all the time, don't ever put your kids first, put you first, because in the process of you putting your kids first, you're teaching them how to neglect themselves. They're watching you. Kids might not always listen to you, but they'll 100% mimic how you act, especially when you get triggered. People don't realize that. So a lot of times, especially with trauma, a lot of times parents, I tell my clients this all the time, the parent you judge the most, you become. And they're like, no, I can never become my parent. Yes, because it's not the parent you're judging, it's the emotional relationship you have to your body, the hurt part that you feel inside of your body that you're judging, and you're using that hurt part and making it about your parent. So now what you're really judging is the ways in which your parent coped with the hurt that they were feeling. So now you're like, okay, I'm not going to cope that way. I'm going to cope this way, but you're still coping. And I tell people, as long as you're coping, that means you're still hurting. So now you're going to teach your kids, you're going to raise your kids the way you wish your parent would have raised you, not realizing your parents only raised you that way because they were hurting. So now you're going to raise your kid a certain way and not realizing you're only raising them that way because that child core wound, that inner child, is still hurting. Now you're make your child ungrateful because you're doing all this stuff for your kid that they never asked for, because you're unconsciously trying to raise your kid the way you wish your parents would have raised you, but it wasn't meant for you to be raised that way. So now you're like, oh, my mom was wrong because she didn't do this and she didn't do that. But energetically, you only want to make another person wrong so you can feel right. So what you're really saying is, how I feel is wrong, but I'm going to project that and make it about my mom because she should have did this. She should have did that. No, it wasn't her responsibility. She didn't know any better. She did the best within a level of her awareness. And if you would have asked her, did she feel like she did a great job? She'll probably say, I feel like I did, but I feel like I could have done better. And I'm sure as your daughter or as your kid grow up and you ask them the same thing, you'll be like, yeah, I felt like I did a great job, but I feel like there's some stuff I could have done better. It's trauma. You're still stuck. You're still disregarding how you did based on a story of you not being enough or you're not good enough or whatever the story is. Everybody has the story, but that's what's governing how we relate and connect to our kids.
Yeah, I can literally see that play out in, family, friends, or people close to me that, like, yeah, it's so funny that your style of parenting seems almost like a rebellion to the way that you were brought up, whether it be like strict versus like so free, like do whatever you want and things like that. So it's really, really fascinating. And also, I think sometimes the way I personally feel about this work is like everyone does work, like when we get to a certain stage that you do delve back into your childhood, and I feel often like, yeah, I want to do this work, but I also don't want to make my parents feel bad because it seems like, oh yeah, I realized that I got this from my mom, or because she did this and because he did this. But like you say, just living from that belief that actually it's all just a reflection of you, so you can own that and do that work. And having that belief, which I've also found really helpful throughout the journey, of everyone is doing the best they can with what they know at the time.
Yeah, it's no blame. It's no blame at all. It's because when you understand how life works for you, not against you. So every experience that you ever went through in life was a gift. And when you understand it was a gift, it creates more of appreciation for the experience, because if it wasn't for them and the experiences that you went through, you wouldn't be the person you are today. So unless you're not happy with the person you are today, that's a trigger for you to recognize, okay, where am I stuck in a story of who I am today isn't good enough. That's the catalyst to bring more awareness to you. It's not about blaming. Like, it's interesting because when you were saying that, self-neglect came to the forefront of my mind just in you talking about them. You're like, I don't want them to feel. You can't make nobody feel no type of way. You're not responsible for how other people feel. That will be the catalyst for you to kind of understand, why am I afraid for them to feel a certain emotion? Childhood trauma. Now you're trying to disconnect from you to make sure they're good. Self-neglect. We all do it, but we're just so unaware of it because we've been taught that, oh, don't do that, don't do that, because you'll make this person feel that way. You'll make that person. No, I can't make you feel. Just like I tell my clients, okay, you're sad right now. Tell that person to be happy. Tell that person to smile. Tell that person to jump up for joy and be excited about life. They're sad right now. Are they going to do it? Just because you made them feel that way, right? Tell them to be happy now. Are they going to be happy now because you told them to? No, because you didn't make them feel that way. They felt that way prior to already experiencing you. It was the ways in which they interpret your behavior caused them to, or revealed to them how they already felt within themselves. You can't make them feel that way. That's not your responsibility.
Got it. But and there's also, and like this is probably a personal thing within me, the part that you kind of, if you're going to address something like that with the parent or the person, then it feels like you're almost forcing them to go on there. They might not be
Yeah,
ready to deal with that, right? They might
absolutely
not
not.
be at this I want to explore myself stage.
Absolutely. Most of my family haven't. I don't think none of my family. I've been doing this for almost a year now. None of my family has actually had a session with me, like a real session, because everybody's scared, and it's okay. I don't want them to move at my pace. I understand. I had to go through my own individual experience to get to where I'm at now. They have to go through the same thing. It's understanding. I definitely know I can help them because I've done it, but they have to want the help on their own. It's not going to hit the same. They can
So
come
you
to
don't
me.
actually,
Mhm.
sorry, I was just going to say, so you don't actually have to do the work with anyone else but yourself. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
you can just keep that, you don't have to like have conversations with people to get stuff out, because all the answers are literally
Are within
within
you.
you.
Absolutely, and that's the beautiful thing about having sessions with people is I'm not teaching them how to depend on me. I'm just helping them become more aware of how they actually feel, the part of them feel. So, like, even when we can have a session if you ever want to go live. We can have a session, or if you want to have one today, I'm down for it if you want. But it's more so just bringing awareness. People think you want to heal. It's not about healing. It's just bringing awareness to how you feel. So usually when I have the sessions, I ask them, like, once you ask the mind to go to a safe space and it goes to a safe space, and then you ask them, how do you feel about the tightness in your throat now? It's usually like, I don't feel, it's not as scary. It's not as tight. And it's like, beautiful. What do you see? What do you feel? And they'll tell me, okay. Or I usually ask, how old does that part think that you are? And usually it's like 6 or 7 or 10 or 15, whatever the age is. Now you're more aware of, okay, I'm not the sensation and I'm not my mind. What am I then? You're just the awareness. That's why I'm like emotional awareness specialist. I'm just helping you become more aware of what you're actually feeling versus the story you're telling yourself about what you're feeling. And then once you kind of connect to that 5-year-old and you allow it to express, because your body it'll tell you exactly what happened that caused it to be stuck in that experience. Your conscious mind might not remember it, but your body remembers it. And when you allow yourself to go there, it'll be like, oh, when you were 10, when I was 10, grandpa yelled at me, and I wish somebody would have came and said this, this, and this. And it's like, okay, can I be that somebody for you? You're showing up for that 10-year-old as the way in which somebody else would have done it, because you know how she felt. Nobody else know how she felt because she was never able to express that. Unexpressed and unexperienced emotions being trapped inside of your body. That's all trauma is. So when you understand it's that, and you allow that 10-year-old to express, or that 5, whatever the age may be, you allow her to express everything she wished somebody would have said for her. She's no longer traumatized. So she's no longer stuck in a story of being unseen and unheard. Now, once you regulate that, now your relationship to that sensation shifts. Now you're not afraid of this sensation because you understand, oh, that sensation meant this versus that sensation meant mom yelled at me, I'm about to die, and this is all these other stories your mind created. And then you bring your mind back into play and you show your mind, okay, she's not scared no more. You don't need to protect her. What would you rather be doing? And your mind will tell you, I'd rather be doing this. Like, it's one of those things when you have the flow within your system, then the ways in which you relate to yourself shifts. So now the ways in which you relate to everybody else shift. So now I can see somebody say this, I'm like, oh, they just talking to themselves. I'm just here witnessing it. They're not talking to me, because if I tell my clients, if it ain't true, they ain't talking to you. So when you think a person is being negative, what they're really saying is they're just expressing how they feel about themselves. That has nothing to do with you. They're just talking out loud. So now you're not making a judgment on what they're doing because it has nothing to do with you. That's them, not you. They're not responsible for how they feel. That's on them, not you.
Gosh, there's so many reminders. Like, you have to constantly remind yourself this stuff, right? To really get into being it.
Once you connect to that sensation in your body, it'll shift instantly. It'll shift instantly, because now you're not moved by that sensation. So now you have more awareness to recognize, oh, they're not talking to me. That has nothing to do with me. So why am I getting triggered? That's the key. If you get triggered, then you feel like there's some truth in what the person is saying, if it's negative or whatever they're saying. When you get triggered, that brings more awareness to, okay, me that's getting triggered. It's a part of me that got triggered. Okay, where's this part of me? This part is trying to communicate to me. When you understand that, now it brings more freedom and clarity. And that's where peace is. Peace is being okay with all your feelings. Most people are like, I need to protect my peace. Yeah, you need to protect your peace because you're not okay with all your feelings. So now you're trying to protect the feelings that you are okay with and discard all the other feelings. So you're really not at peace. You're running. But yeah.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Like, yeah, it's like the Bali thing. Like, you can feel super peaceful in Bali around only, you know, a lot of like-minded people who aren't likely to bring up anything negative in you. You can sit and be at one in the sunshine and you can feel all great. But if you move country, or, you know, just go to a different place, or and that all comes back, then you've not really got that inner peace, right?
Absolutely. And that's the thing. People think it's the external environment that determines whether you have peace or not. It's not. It's your to the internal environment that you associate to the external. The internal is a direct reflection of the external. So what people don't realize is how you feel determines what you see. So if I feel unsafe inside of my body, I'll see everything as a weapon, everything as it's almost like when you're angry and somebody's trying to talk to you, or when you're quote unquote angry, I'll just use it for the example, and somebody's trying to talk to you, you feel like they're attacking you. Now you're reacting like, what do it's like, whoa, I was just asking how you doing. Yeah, you're seeing how you feel internally. You're not happy, you feel unsafe inside of your own body. So now you're reacting externally because you're not responding to how you feel. You're reacting, you're going away from. That's why I say I help people learn how to properly regulate their emotions so that they're not reacting from how they feel, but responding to how they feel.
Got you. Yeah, I do remember learning, like, hearing that one quite early on, like responding and not reacting. One of the questions I would be interested to get your view on is, and I don't know, the more I talk to you, I feel like the answer, there might not be such a simple answer, but what it made me think is, like, how do we, I think the answer is probably that we don't, like, how do we raise children? Well, let me rephrase this. Like, how do we raise our children in the best way? I suppose this is me thinking, like, how do we raise them to protect them from harm, like to not have to do the work later on? But I suppose it's like, how do we raise them as, like, to emotionally regulate? Can we do that? Is there like a best environment that we could put our children in?
I would say the best way to raise your kids first starts with your relationship to yourself. And then also allowing that kid to be who they are without trying to make them something that they're not. A lot of times we try to make our kids who we want them to be versus allowing them to be who they are. And then we make them wrong for being who they are because we want them to be differently. So the best way, like my niece, she's 3 now, but I always teach her how to breathe. We got a little handshake, a little routine that we do, and it's always breathe, because what people don't realize is a lot of time when you get triggered, you shorten your breath shortens. So now you're tight. Get tight. Now you're in reactive mode. You're in fight or flight. So now it's understanding. So breathe, bring more awareness and more relaxation to your body to recognize, okay, I'm safe. And then another thing too is also not making your kid wrong for doing what he's doing and not making it about you. A lot of times kids have to explore. They have to touch things. They have to not listen, because in them not listening, it's helping you learn to listen to them because they're reacting from not being heard. So now if you want your kid to listen to you, listen to your kid. Whatever you want from your kid, you have to do to your kid. That's the thing. People try to make their kids, I want you to listen. You're not listening. You don't listen to me. Yes, because the kid doesn't feel heard by you. So of course he's not going to listen because you're not listening to the kid. Whatever you want from your kid, you have to apply to the kid as well. People be like, well, I'm the adult here. Yeah, but it's still a human being. It still has emotions, still has feelings. Your kid still has feelings too. It still get hurt. Love, I tell people how I define love is accepting all parts of another person without making them wrong or making them wrong so you can feel right about yourself. So accept your kid, means allow your kid to be who they are and not make them wrong for being that way. Love them, accept them. But the key to protecting them is helping them become more aware of themselves, not helping them become more aware of the external environment. Because the more in tune you are, your body knows. A kid will know, should I go to that person or not? The kid will naturally do it. Energy speaks louder than men lie, women lie, but energy never lies. A kid will know if a person is unsafe or not safe. But it's up to the parents to help that kid be in tune with themselves by not traumatizing them, not making the kid responsible for how they feel. If the parent is feeling some type of way, let the kid know that mommy's feeling some type of way right now. It has nothing to do with you. I just need some time right now. A lot of times the parent don't want to tell the kids because they don't want the kids to think this, and energy. The kid will feel how the parent is feeling energetically. We're energetic beings. So be honest with your kid. Mommy needs some space right now. I'm going through something right now. I'm just trying to process. I'm trying to regulate. And then when a kid comes to you, you trying to talk to her, and he's like, I need some time right now. I'm trying to process. Don't make the kid wrong. Allow the kid the safety to process and regulate its own emotions. Then the kid will come and talk to you versus, no, you need to talk to me right now and tell me what you got. It's unsafe.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much good stuff in this. Like, I don't personally know whether I will have children or not. I've always felt like the self-development journey in it, I'll probably want to go on, and it just kind of all these different elements, like it is all why the self-work is so important. I can literally sometimes see that sometimes when my nephew is around, or my niece, and I feel like me and my mom have started to notice, oh, it's funny how they play up more when we're not in a great mood to begin with. Like, they're naughtier, or they're this, or judging them for being a certain way, but actually they're just picking up on the way that the things that we're going through, the way that we're feeling. And in a calm environment, or in a, and it's just so interesting. I'm fascinated by all of this stuff, and it's good to learn as well that there is a way to bring children up that we can aim for, because I think I didn't know whether, as I was asking the question, I didn't know whether it's the answer is just, you can't really raise children in a perfect way. You just have to let them go on their own journey of having their own hurts and having their own things, which you do to a certain extent, but then there's also taking responsibility for what you're going through and your self-awareness, teaching them certain emotional tricks and tips.
The whole reason a parent is there is to help guide their kids to how to learn how to properly regulate their own emotions. But it's difficult because most parents don't know how to regulate their own, or properly regulate their own emotions. So they can't teach the kids something that they don't know. And it starts with the parent. So it starts with your relationship to that childhood trauma, that core wound that you have within yourself. And a lot of times we have kids out of trauma. So now we're traumatizing the kids because now we want the kid to love us in the ways in which we wish somebody would have loved us. And now we're trying to love them. And it's disconnected because now we're putting pressure on the kid to be something that is not supposed to be. That's why it's a kid. Honestly, when I have sessions with kids, they're more in tune than adults. So I feel like we should learn or pay attention more to kids than the kids should pay attention to us, because we've been so programmed to not be our authentic self, because society has told you at a certain age, you need to stop doing this. You can't do this. You can't do that. But you're not allowed to just be who you are. Kids are allowed to be who they are to a certain extent. Once they get to a certain age in society, you should do this. You need to do that. You need to stop doing this. And it's not real. We come to earth to have fun, to enjoy life. You look at a kid, they're enjoying life. Why are they enjoying life? Because they're not trying to be something. They're not trying to conform to what the world is telling them to conform to. It's having that freedom and safety to just be you. And I think that's where we kind of we lack or we mess up when it comes to raising kids, because we're trying to raise them to be a certain way instead of just accepting them for who they are. And when you accept them for who they are, you understand they're their own individual person. Yes, you birthed them, but you don't own them. And I think that's the key right there, is really understanding, like, it's no blame to the parents at all, because everything that everybody's experience is meant for them to experience, but it's also recognizing, like, okay, let me not be so judgmental. Let me not make this kid wrong for behaving that way. What is this kid trying to communicate to me that I'm not understanding? Let me talk to this kid. Literally, I'm telling, when I be having sessions with kids, they be like, I feel this tightness in my chest. And I'm like, how old is it? And they're like, 3. I'm like, whoa, for real? It's like, yeah. What happened when I can tell you exactly what happened. Mama yelled at me and she said this, and then she said, and I'm like, whoa, wow. But when I have sessions with adults, they're like, I don't feel nothing. I don't see nothing. Nothing's coming up to me. Nothing. I'm like, wait, you got to breathe into it. It's just been so suppressed for so long. You don't even recognize it. That's how disconnected you are from your body. Versus a kid, they're like, yep, I know it's right here. I feel it right now.
I really relate to, like, being more childlike and learning a lot of lessons from little ones. And also, like, what you said, like, I've had the odd session, either like an inner child session or something along these lines, where I just feel like my mind's wanting to try and, like, unearth some big trauma. Like, I really want to get to the answer. Like, but I'm like, I don't know what it is without, like, you have to take that mind part away.
Your mind is, and that's the difficult part about it, doing it by yourself, because your mind has to, it literally is designed to protect you. So if it allows you to go there, it's still the same age in which you first experienced that trauma. So it still thinks you're 5, it still thinks you're 10, it still thinks you're the same age. So it's like, if I allow you to go to there, you're gonna die. So no, we don't want to do it. This is, you're gonna get re-traumatized, you're gonna get this, you're gonna get that. It's like, I get you're scared, mind, but I'm consciously, I'm 35 now. And literally, when I have sessions with my clients, I'd be like, now tell your mind how old you actually are and how does it react. They're like, I told them I was 25, and it's in shock. Because they didn't realize trauma caused you to always be in survival mode. But your mind still thinks you're that same age. That's why it's going to distract you, because it's trying to tell you how you feel is wrong. But once you tell your mind your actual age, it creates more of a freedom, more of a safety. So now it doesn't have to protect you, because you're a little bit older now. Okay, now you older. All right. Let me take a step back now. She older. Okay. And that's really the key. So now, once you feel that sensation, the way you relate to it will shift, because now your mind's not telling you this sensation means you're about to die. This sensation means unsafe. This sensation means this. And I think that's the key to properly regulate your emotions. It's not trying to cope with how you feel, but actually trying to connect with it. I want you to connect with it so you can realize there's nothing broken with you. There's nothing that you need to heal from. It's just about incorporating the part of you that feel unheard and unseen by you, not the external environment. And once you get to that space, I'm telling you, the ways in which you relate and connect to other people will shift, like, instantly, because now you're okay with feeling how you feel, which now you allow people to be themselves without making them wrong, because now you're not judging you. We don't want people to judge us for the thing we judge ourselves the most about. So that's where, they're being negative, or, they're being this, they're being that, because you're judging how you feel. You're judging yourself. But it's easier to make it about them than it is to hold yourself accountable. Self-neglect. First language we all learn.
Yeah, of course. Oh my gosh, Najee, again, I feel like we've opened a massive can of worms that we're still gonna just keep diving deeper on.
Sure.
And I feel like perhaps we could, definitely maybe record a session of me being in it. I'd be little bit nervous to see how that comes out before I might share it, because of all my, like, stuff, but that might be a really interesting.
A lot of releasing. I can tell there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure that you put on yourself, which is okay. But it's one of those things to where once you release, you feel a lot lighter. It's so wild when I had a session with a young lady, and she was like, after we went through it, she was like, I don't even know. I just feel so light right now. I haven't felt this. And the part of her, she's like 45, 46. And the part of her that experienced that traumatic experience, she was 10. So for 35 years, she's been carrying a lot of repressed emotions. And she was just like, I just feel so light. She was like, the whole yesterday, I just didn't say anything. I was just like, wow, I just feel so empty right now. I didn't realize how heavy, how long I've been carrying it, because it's an unconscious thing. Most people don't realize it. And that your mind will have you thinking it's scary, but in reality, like crying is just the way you release. It's not about being sad or angry. It's just releasing, just like barking, like burping. It's one of those things when you understand how your body communicates to you, is helping you properly regulate itself, but your mind will have you disconnected from it. So now you're not listening to it. So yeah, it'll be a dope experience. I could tell, because I can tell it's a lot of pressure that you're putting on yourself, or not even pressure, a lot of weight and trying to be this or trying to be that. And that's a lot of the coaches, like a lot of my clients, they come from therapy or they come from coaches where the coaches try to be something. I don't try to be none. I'm just me. If it resonates with you, it resonates with you. If it don't, it wasn't meant. Point blank period. That has nothing to do with me. That's how life. I always tell people I'm just a subconscious seed planter. I plant the seeds and I allow life to water them. You might not get it now, but a week or 2 weeks or even a year or 10 years down the line, you'll remember it, because it's one of those things where life is going to water you. I'm not going to water you. I'm not here to try to control you and guide you on this journey. This is your journey. It was meant for. I'm just here, just being me. And if I plant seeds and it resonates and it works for you, beautiful. That's what it's all about. Life is all about making connections, not about trying to control the connections. It's allowing it to be what it is. I'm not in resistance to life. I'm learning to surrender to life. It's one of those things where when you really flow with life, everything is so much easier and so much more at peace. It's scary. I'm not even gonna lie. In the initial stages of it, because your mind is like, no, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this. And it's like, my body's like, nah,
no, don't need to.
No, don't need to. And that's where it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna listen to my body versus, okay, mind, I see you there. What you want? Some attention? What you want? A hug? What you want? Clearly, you going, oh, okay, here you are, mind. I'll give you a hug. It's okay. And once you get to where you're not reacting from how you feel, it creates so much safety and so much peace within you, to where you're truly at peace, and you don't need to protect that, because you create that. You are home, like you said. You go to Bali and you don't get triggered, and it's all happy and go lucky, but it's not Bali. It's how you feel inside of your body. Home is body. It's not going to Bali. That's not what caused you to feel that way. It was how you related to how you was feeling. When you went home, the relationship to how you were feeling shifted, because now you're more in protective mode. Now you're back in your element in which you first felt unsafe. That's probably why you travel and why you want to go out to the world, to escape from how you were feeling, which is okay. But once you get to the point where Bali's everywhere you go, no matter what the environment is, life changed, life shifts.
Thank you so much for being able to like put into words this subconscious work that we can do, that is like, I'm all about freedom, right? And coaching people to help them feel free. And this just seems like one part of freedom that people really cannot miss if they're gonna live life truly as themselves, and be able to feel that inner peace whilst going about normal life. So thank you so much. I really am conscious to wrap this up before my phone just dies on us.
I'm lonely. It happens.
Yeah, and I know we're gonna chat more, possibly recorded. So yeah, we may see that one come in. And yeah, just all the best. Keep doing what you're doing, and I'll connect with you again very soon.
Absolutely. Thank you again for having me on your platform. I really, really appreciate it. It was such an honor. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Najee. Take care. Speak to you soon.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye
Y'all
bye.